Good morning, Hayom Yom, Sivan is Chag. So in the year 1942, they got together and they divided the entire Mishnayos to be learned Baal Peh, to be learned by heart. Between a bunch of people, they were going to learn the entire Mishnayos Baal Peh, they were going to memorize it. And it was a big celebration, it was a big simcha, and in honor of the event, the Frierdiker Rebbe said a sicha. And exactly 1 year later, in the year 1943, when Hayom Yom was published, so as the entry for today, for Sivan, for Chag, and for tomorrow, the Rebbe took the contents of that sicha. So like today's Hayom Yom is basically 1 year to the date from the day it was said. And the Frierdiker Rebbe began by saying that in the book of Shir Hashirim, there are two verses that describe what this world is, that describe our world. And they paint the world in two very different lights. The first pasuk says, God says, Basi Ligani achesi kala, which means Hashem says, I have come into this world, I am in this world, I am present in this physical world. My kala, my bride, you the Jewish people. He's addressing the Jewish people. And he says, you guys should know, my bride, you should know that I am in this world. And the word he uses for this world is Gani, Basi Ligani, which literally means a garden. He says, my kala, you should know that I'm in this world, I'm in this garden. And the Midrash says that the word Gani, the word for garden, is etymologically related to the word Lignuni, which means a wedding chuppah, or a bride chamber. And basically what that means is that generally a chassan and a kala, a husband and wife, so they're out there, they're each on their own, they're out there, and they're looking for each other. And under the chuppah, and more specifically in the bride chamber, is when they find each other, when they connect, when they reunite, when they come together, when they meet up. So God is saying that this world is Gnuni, this world is my chuppah, this world is my bride chamber, this world is our bedroom, that me and you, the chassan and kala, Hashem and the Jewish people, this is where you meet up, this is where you really connect with Hashem, this is where you find Hashem. And the place to really meet up with and link up with and connect with Hashem is in this world, is in the physical world. So when you read that pasuk, you have a new appreciation for the physical world. You look around you, this is God's office, this is God's bedroom, this is God's throne room. So that's pasuk number 1. But then comes along pasuk number 2. Pasuk number 2 says, El Ginas Egoz yiradati. God says again, I've come into this world, but the word then he uses to describe this world is a Ginas Egoz, which means a nut grove, or a garden of nut trees. And that has a very, very negative connotation. Because the Rama writes that many, many Jews have the custom that on Rosh Hashanah they don't eat nuts. Because nuts have a very negative, unholy energy about them. Because the Hebrew word for nut, egoz, is bigematria, it's the numerical equivalent to the word chet, sin. And based on that, though, basically, what the pasuk would mean, that this world is a grove of nut trees, it's a garden of nut trees. It's just like a garden of nut trees produces nuts. So to this world produces sin. It's a breeding ground for sin. This is an unholy world, a dirty world that is producing sin, that is pumping out sin. Which, you look around this world, and this means this world is a terrible place. So a very, very different connotation to it. Now, just on a side note, it's interesting that the word egoz is not actually bigematria chet. Because chet is the numerical equivalent of 18, and the numerical equivalent of egoz is only 17. But the two ways to reconcile that is either sometimes the way we'll count the gematria is the word itself gives an additional 1. It gives 1 more point. So if we use the word of egoz, we'd get to 18 and that would add up. Another way to explain it is some versions of the Rama have the word chet spelled without an aleph, just ches tes, which would still pronounce chet, but that way chet would only be gematria 17 and that would add up with egoz. But in any event, it says in the Rama that egoz is bigematria chet, they have a share in energy. So again, this world basically, on the one hand, one verse is telling us that this world is God's bedroom, God's office, God's throne room. On the other hand, it's saying this world is a garbage dump, it's a piece of garbage, it's a dirty place. And the Frierdiker Rebbe says that we have a choice. God has decided to treat us like adults. God has given us the gift of independence, of freedom of choice, and we could choose. We could either view the world around us, we could either view our lives as Hashem's office, as Hashem's bedroom, as Hashem's throne room, and a place with which to connect to Hashem, or we can view our lives, we can live our lives as a factory for sin, as a grove of nut trees, and we could be pumping out sin. That's what we could choose to do with our lives, and we have that choice to make. And obviously, the two things actually go hand in hand. It's only because we have freedom of choice. It's only because we're not programmed to choose Hashem. We can choose not Hashem. That when we do choose Hashem, we really, really connect with Hashem. It's an etzem connection. It's really deep. It's very impactful. It's very meaningful. Like an angel, if he chooses Hashem, he's programmed to choose Hashem. Therefore, even though he chooses Hashem, he can never really connect with Hashem. He can never enter Hashem's Oval Office, Hashem's bedroom, Hashem's throne room. But we, since we could reject Hashem, when we choose Hashem, it's so much deeper, it's so much more meaningful. And the Friedrich Rebbe just added one beautiful point that the Midrash says, is that why is this world, and why are Jews called nuts? Why is this world called nuts? Because a nut has a very, very thick shell. And even if the nut falls into the dirt, it falls into the mud, it becomes filthy, it becomes dirty, it becomes disgusting, that only affects the shell. But the shell is so thick that the inside, the content, the actual nut, always remains beautiful, it always remains delicious, it remains unharmed, untouched, undirty. So he said, even if a Jew produces nuts, even if a Jew becomes steeped in sin, does all kinds of disgusting, dirty things, is a major sinner, he says the inside, the beautiful inside of a Jew never becomes hurt, never becomes dirty, never becomes soiled. And you could always tap into your beautiful self, and you could always reconnect, and you could always switch direction and reconnect with yourself and choose Hashem, choose to view your life in this world as Hashem's office, Hashem's bedroom, Hashem's throne room. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.